Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. We have 6 of our trustees present. Dr. Philippart is not available tonight. And I think we have all 4 of our student reps at this point. Yes, we do. Welcome, everyone. We always begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to stand and join me, please do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we have 4 elements of recognition tonight.
That is correct. Our first item of recognition is, we actually have 2 mission moments this evening. Our first is the Silver Hornets robotics team. This evening we'd like to recognize our Bowen Park Middle School robotics team, the Silver Hornets. This team of 8 students built a robot that is able to perform certain tasks and functions and won awards at the first Tech Challenge Robotics Competition in 1922.
2022.
2022.
That's an old robot.
It was amazing.
It was amazing for its time, yeah.
Lost in space, yes. We also just learned that the team has been promoted to states in the recent district championship competition and received first Inspire Award and first Alliance Award. The robotic is so awesome that the team wanted to demo it this evening for the board and Troy community. Welcome to the Silver Hornets.
Welcome.
At this time, it would be my pleasure to introduce Coach Nivedita Marangante to the podium, and she will introduce her team.
Here, come on up to the microphone. I'm going to make you go to the mic. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. We are from Bowen Park Middle School, and this team has been learning and doing robotics since 2 years under the guidance of some of the coaches who have been volunteering for this program. I'd like to ask the girls to talk a little bit about the robotics program.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Saranjeevi, and I'm an 8th grader in Bowen Park Middle School right now. And we are Silver Hornets, a robotics team, and we're from Bowen Park Middle School, all of us. We have 8 members in total, only 3 could make it today. And robotics is like a program run by FIRST, an organization, and you can learn skills like build, program, engineering throughout the season. And along with that, based on your own personal interest, you can choose other things to learn, like build, those like a main thing, like finance, outreaches, giving back to the community, and things like that. For our game this year, our season, as our season changes every year, for our current game, we have 3 parts of our game. The first part is an autonomous. It is a pre-programmed program which is included in the robot. This, during this part of the game, we don't touch the controllers or manually control anything. So the robot moves on its own and picks up pixels and drops it wherever we designed it to drop, basically. Our second part is a driver control. This is 1 minute and 30 seconds where we manually control the robot to pick up pixels from the wing to drop on the backboard. The last 30 seconds is an end game in which we do our final touches to our points as we suspend the robot from a rigging and we potentially launch a plane.
Wow. Okay. And what is your name?
I'm Shri.
Hi.
I'm Anya Gupta, and we do more than just building programming and robotics. We also do outreaches where we give back to the community. We do a variety of different categories of outreaches, which is STEM, non-STEM, and Connect. So STEM is basically where we talk about FIRST and the robot in general. And then non-STEM is where we just talk about the community and give back. Like we did go to the Troy Police Department, and we did help them raise funds by recycling aluminum cans and glass bottles so they could do the Special Olympics. And we also do Connect outreaches, which we go to different people, people in the robotics field, like people who work in mechanics. We went to Aptiv office and we talked about what we could do better and what they could do better, like how they could help us. Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome. What are we going to see today? What are you going to demonstrate?
So our robot is like what we built over the season. It took us about 2 months to build and program everything, which is a really quick time if you ask me.
Yeah.
So that's our robot. So basically our robot first has the chassis. That's the base of the robot where everything is basically like mounted on top of. And then the next part of our robot is like on top, you can see the L kind of bracket, the door or the frame to support everything. And that's what holds our arm mechanism. And the arm mechanism slides back and forth so it can like reach different heights. And in the front of it, the purple part of it, we 3D printed it using like a program called CAD. So we first put our ideas into it, then after that we print it out with like a team-made 3D printer. And we can like get to precise measurements from the website, Goldnoga, with the first like sponsored website. And after we build that, we attach onto the robot, and that's our gripper, so we can pick up 2 pickles at one time. Basically, the field and first how it works is it's like a 12 by 12 playing mat with these fields. These mats are 12 by 12, and you have to go back and forth from 2 stations of the field as fast as you can to get to as many pixels as you can from the back onto the board right there. You can see. So each match in the real competition lasts about 2 minutes, I'm pretty sure, 2 minutes.
How did you program the controller?
So we have a control hub. That's how we put all of our program into it. And we have a driver hub that they're pairing to right now. And we program everything in Java, like each motor. And then we put the Java programs into the control hubs, and we can like use the controllers to program autonomous and each controller to like manually function.
Okay.
We practice everything that we have right now. So to go to a robotics competition, so we won the first qualifier, and we qualified for states, which is this weekend. But other Troy teams, most of them had it last weekend. I think you might have heard of it. So we're training to go to our states competition, hopefully go to Wales this year.
That's
So this
very
is your
cool that you can
practice
get-
session
Yeah.
for this weekend?
Yeah.
Where is the state competition held?
I think it's in Howell, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So it's over
Not too far.
And it lasts like Saturday and Sunday, so we have to go both days and then come back.
Yeah. It's pretty fun to watch all of them. I've been to a couple. So the game that you guys are doing this year, do you feel the most confident about this game? Or are there features that you, like, what's your favorite feature in a game?
So last year's game was like really easy compared to this one. So last year we had a game where we had to pick up cones and put them on poles. So compared to that, this year is super hard because during our autonomous one this time, we have like 3 tapes, and you have to go detect it, then come back and detect the backboard as well. It's a lot of like recognition and a lot of new things we have to learn with like April tags and like programming itself. So I feel like this year's game was a lot harder compared to the last 2 years because I only experienced FTC for 2 years because it's a middle school kind of thing.
Right.
So I did it all 3 years of my middle school. And I feel like my favorite part of this year's game season is in the end of the game, during the 30 seconds of like the really last part of like the 2 minutes in each game, there's an end game, and during that time you can launch a paper airplane from your robot. And I feel like that's my favorite part of the whole game because it was just really fun to design for me personally because I was part of that design team.
So is your team made up all of 8th graders, or is it students from different grades at Bowman?
So our team has 8 members currently, and I think 2 of which are 8th graders, and then a few 7th graders, and only like a very little bit about 6th graders. And a first robotics team can have a total of 16 team members, so we're actually a pretty small team. So at the end of each season, season lasts from like, I think September to the middle to end of February. So the season's coming to an end. And then the first people, like the first board of directors, they choose a winner for the season. And at the end of the season, each team can have like a recruitment session, or like however they recruit new team members, to get more members so that the team like continues like going up the years.
So that's how they continue the next year? Okay.
So is this the only team in the school, or are there multiple teams?
I think there are multiple teams. In Troy School District, there's a ton of teams, I know that for sure. The FLL, FTCA, and FRC, those are all like the, FLL is elementary, FTC is middle school, and FRC is high school. I think there's a lot of FLL and FTC teams, but I think there's only one high school team for each high school. In Bolin, I'm pretty sure there's our team, and there's Just Add Logic and Kraken, with their 2 other teams, and I'm not sure about other middle schools, but there are definitely teams.
The 3 teams, do you work together sometimes to solve problems, or do you compete against each other?
Well, we aren't competitive that much. Districts, like we just kind of do our own thing, and when we need help, like one time we lost a part of our wheel, and we can ask help from other teams, but we don't necessarily like go and meet every week, like that kind of thing. But we definitely help each other when we need to help each other.
Okay.
What's been the biggest challenge for this year's challenge?
Well, I was a part of the build and design team, so I'm not sure about the programming side of this, but
Well, that's from your perspective, from the
Yeah,
build
my
team. What was the biggest challenge?
we had a lift mechanism, so at the end of our game, our robot has to lift all of its weight onto like a pole that's like this thick, so it was a lot of work. So for my design, I was like really struggling, like me and my 2 partners on like the design area. We were trying to first build a separate mechanism, like a separate arm inside of the robot, but there's also like a lot of requirements to meet in FTC. Like there's like a box you have to put the robot into, and there's like a lid on motors and everything.
It succeeded while you were talking.
There you go.
So there was like a lot to do.
So what's next for you next year? So you're an 8th grader this year.
Yeah.
Are you going to do, are you looking at the high school robotics team?
I feel like depending on which high school I go to, because I want to not so tied between IA and Troy High. But personally, robotics is like a really fun thing to do, especially competitions. If you've never been to one, like everything, like the whole environment and the community there is super fun. So I really want to continue it, but like it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So the quick question, why does it depend on which high school you go to? You could be in robotics in both high schools, right?
Yeah, but the workload in different high schools is really different.
Okay.
In IA, like, it's a lot of work, and robotics is like a daily, like 2-3 hours thing, and even more on weekends. So it's like kind of like goes as a family together in robotics, and that's like a lot of commitment and work too, like if you want to do it. So.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
All right, yeah, well, thank you. We have some certificates for you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
First hour.
Has big plans for you.
I do.
Okay. Our next item of recognition, invite Mrs. DiPilato, our Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Instruction, to the microphone.
Thank you. Steve, Dr. Macheski, members of the board. I'm excited to be here tonight for our next mission moment. Tonight we are going to recognize our web teachers from our middle schools. So while they make their way up, so please come up and join me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the web program is, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about these incredible people. WEB, which stands for Where Everyone Belongs, is a middle school orientation and transition program that welcomes sixth graders and makes them feel comfortable throughout their first year of middle school. Built on the belief that students can help other students succeed, the WEB program trains mentors from our 8th grade students to be WEB leaders in our schools. As positive role models, WEB leaders are mentors and student leaders who guide the sixth graders to discover what it takes to be successful during their transition to middle school and to help facilitate year-long success. WEB also works as an anti-bullying program for our school by providing it with a cadre of students who look for bullying behavior and can help to stop it. WEB gives older students permission to be aware of and report any negative behavior they see, creating a safer school environment for everyone. Pieces of WEB include our middle school orientation, academic follow-up meetings, social follow-ups, and leader-initiated contacts. Overall, this is a program really for us to dive into our sense of belonging in Troy, where we can establish an environment for our students so everyone feels like they belong. Not only are our WEB leaders who are standing here responsible for leading those programs, but they also made possible Troy's very first 6th grade day-long orientation. As you'll remember, we had an opportunity the day before school started for everyone else to welcome our 6th graders into our buildings. They had the middle schools all to themselves. They got to ride the bus, they got to wait in the food line, they got to figure out their lockers. They got to do that with these folks as well as the 8th grade leaders who were helping to support them, which I think is an incredible new opportunity that Troy offered for those 6th grade students. So standing here today, I'll introduce to you these folks who are here. On behalf of Bolin Park Middle School, we have Phil Lewan, Phil's partner, Allison Pagnani, was not able to join us tonight. Next to Phil, we have Maria Mendoza and Jackie Parker, who are over at Larson Middle School. And then at Smith Middle School, we have Courtney Walls and Ray Torres. And then at Baker Middle School, we have Judy Morgan and Emily Stetson. These amazing individuals give up not only their time, their personal time, and their professional time to build our students, but they are also very much at the heart of all of our middle schools and bring passion and joy to the days for our kids. So I'm really grateful to have them all here today, and I might put one or two of them on the spot to maybe share something that has been meaningful or has resonated from your work with WEB this year at your building.
Come on, we know you want to talk to us.
So one of the scariest things that we've heard from 6th graders is lunch. First day of lunch, going, and especially if you are a new student to the district coming into middle school. So for us on our very first full day, we had our WEB leaders go in and just walk around and talk to the students, see if there was somebody who didn't have anybody to sit with. And a couple of them, would walk around, share, talk, and one student did not have anybody to sit with and said, hey, here's another person, why don't you go sit with them? And a couple weeks later, the 6th grade counselors had a nice talk with students, and that 6th grade student said, this WEB leader joined me up with this other person, and me and this other person are now best friends. And so just that one little act has completely changed those two girls' lives for at least this school year. That's great. So that's just one thing that we
First semester.
Great. Yeah, first semester, 6th grade. So that's just one thing that we've done for us. So.
Teachers who talk every day.
Hi, I'm Maria.
Hi.
At Larson, we have a character ed program called our Strong program, and tomorrow our 8th graders are actually going to lead the 6th graders in that curriculum. So far, all of the 6th graders have just said how much they look up to their 8th grade WEB leaders. I mean, the 8th graders are the big dogs, they're the cool kids. So I just think that having them teach about how to be good people and how to be good students is just really, really crucial. And I think the 6th graders are really enjoying their time getting to learn from them. So it's been an honor of a program to have, so thank you.
Oh, great.
Any questions for our board?
How many 8th graders are WEB leaders per school?
It depends on the population.
About?
At Bolin, for example, you're running about 50.
Okay, it's a pretty good.
Also same at Larson. And Smith as well. We're at about 20.
Okay. Even 20 is impressive. I mean, but 50, that's
great.
yeah, that's amazing. Great experience for 8th graders too, I would think. Yeah.
So I have I guess a comment and a question, and I have an 8th grader who's part of the program at Bolin, and she's loving it. She thinks, even the 8th graders went in the day before to design the program for the 6th graders, and so it's not just that they're presenting the program, they're actually designing what work they're doing with them, and I think it makes them feel like they're a valuable part of the community. I did want to ask is there any difference between the schools? So it's my understanding that at Bolin, it might be a full year program, whereas some of the other middle schools, it might be like a semester-long program, and has that been discussed? Because I can see the benefit of it being a full year program. So,
That's a great question, Amina. So the structure of how Webb is run looks a little bit different in our 4 middle schools, and that's a conversation that we're having as we learn about what the best fit is for our program. So for some of our students, they take Webb as an elective, a part of their day. It's built into their schedule. And for some of our students, they take Webb as a club. And so one of the pieces we were trying to figure out is there's only so many spots in a day for a student to be able to take courses. And so we didn't want to, we were trying to measure the involvement of students in Webb and then their use of electives. So we didn't want to rule out kids who were in band because they felt like they just couldn't fit it into their schedule. And we didn't want students to feel like they had to give up something all year, so could it be a semester elective? So those are things we're learning from, and so the structure does look a little bit different in each building this year.
I have a question, or more a comment and a question, I guess. You guys mentioned about the 6th graders and how they feel. I'm curious if you heard anything from the 8th graders, because teaching and being leaders as 8th graders is also an experience for them, and they would probably learn a lot as well. Just curious.
I think that a lot of them have formed an appreciation for adults and teachers. Have sat to me like, thank you. And so it gives them a new perspective, and I think they've gotten like some really good real world opportunity, doing pitches and presentations to our admin. I think it's been really cool to watch.
As a teacher, it's very rewarding seeing them grow over the course of the year. They start off at the very start of the school year planning this big day for the 6th graders, and there's much trepidation amongst the 8th graders at the start of that year. And then by the end of the year, this is the 2nd year I've gotten to do this for Bolin. We piloted it last year. At the end of the year, it's really interesting to see the growth that there is in their personalities, their confidence, their ability to problem solve, and think through a lot of those things as they've had all of that experience throughout the course of the whole year.
Since you had last year and you had 8th graders that go into freshmen of high school, do they have a different perspective going in as freshmen? Curious.
I've heard from a couple of them coming back that maybe got involved in student government at Troy High, et cetera. They talk as if it was really beneficial to us.
It's also been neat at Smith, seeing like some of the 6th and 7th graders, like, oh, I can't wait to be a web leader. So like building that excitement even amongst the kids that, aren't web leaders yet has been cool. And then to have our 8th graders come up and be like, they wouldn't even talk to us the first lesson, and now they're like, they enjoy the activities, So it's cute to see like at Smith they're in class with them once a month, and they teach them the lesson, and just seeing that like they get to see the change has been really cool for them.
I think the most important part is that it's not just the straight A students leading, it's everyone. No matter what grades, no matter any background you have, we reflect our community in our leaders, and I think a lot of kids look up to the fact that, you don't have to be the smartest kid in the classroom to be a leader. And so just accepting everyone into that leadership position, I think that they really value that.
Wonderful.
How do we recruit for leaders? How does that happen? Or is it volunteer anywhere? Yeah. Or does it vary by building? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to give an example of what it looks like? Because I think they're similar in some ways.
Yeah, there are some similarities. At Bolin, as of right now, it's a nomination process. Teachers throughout the year are looking at students that would be potentially good leaders, role models, and then nominate them. And then there's an interview process that takes place where they sit down and go through a small interview
Can a student self-nominate, or is it?
We haven't done that yet. We've been talking about that.
And at Smith, we encourage them to self-nominate, and we
Okay.
allow them to either write us kind of a letter explaining why they think you'd be a good leader, or a video, where they can just chat with us. We're just trying to make it accessible. Like Maria said, we want a good cross-section of our
yeah.
whole population, so we don't want it to be limiting, as far as the writing skills. So we received quite a few video nominations of themselves, and that was fun. Those are fun to watch as well.
bet.
But yeah, we also allow teachers to nominate, so we kind of do at Smith a little bit of a mix, like the self-nomination.
Baker's the same, it's kind of a mix of teachers nominating and then them coming, ask if they, and nominating themselves and writing why.
Okay.
Laura said it was a free-for-all, so our first year.
It was mostly self-nomination and then gathering some teacher input from the students that maybe we weren't super familiar with to gain some background information.
Definitely take a note.
The
Yeah,
best part of this group is their brutal honesty and how but also the 8 of them will jump on a Zoom call or a Teams call and talk about what's working and what's not working, and that is how we intend to continue to build this program. So in its infancy, right, in its first year across all 4 buildings, I think it's been off to an incredible success for our students. We've gotten positive feedback from students and from parents. We know the transition from 5th grade to 6th grade has been a very challenging one in our community. We let those elementary kiddos go up into middle school. There's a lot of change. And so knowing that they have the support not only of these smiling faces, but of the 50 additional 8th graders in those buildings where they can reach out has helped to ease that transition for many of our kids. So I'm very grateful for these folks. Yeah.
Do you have a one-to-one kind of every 6th grader has an 8th grader that they reach out to, or they can reach out to anybody in the 50?
They could reach out to anybody in the 50. They're paired up with, there are 10 6th graders, ideally, if you have the ratio. There's 10 6th graders to every one.
One of the leaders. Okay, got
And
it.
at Smith, it's 1 to 8. So we have a smaller population, but we still have 50 leaders. So we are able to keep our groups a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So there's 2 8th graders for 8 6th graders. So it's actually 1 to 4
I see.
that we were able to do.
Okay, 2 to 10. Got it.
We're like 2 to 12.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just curious, are 7th graders incorporated in the program at all?
So they're
We do have 7th graders that are going to be in web the following year at Bolin, start to take over a little bit of that right at the end of the school year. So they'll start to do some things with the incoming 5th graders that are
Oh.
coming over to these tours.
Thank you.
Any other questions for him? Go ahead, Jayla.
Do we plan to implement this at the high schools by any chance?
Kayla, such a great question. So the Boomerang Project, which is the parent group of Web, also has a program called Link Crew, and that is a high school-based program. And when we were exploring the possibility of running Web, we actually trained Carrie Brennan at Smith, who is now over at Troy High School. So she got to Troy High and she said, "What about here? Why can't we do something like that here?" And I said, "Carrie, this works so well into the plan." So what we wanted to do was really see how it worked at our middle schools and make sure that it was something that benefited our community, that we could run. The reality is, in Troy, there have historically been incredible student leadership programs across our organizations. And so the challenge is making sure that it fits while not sweeping away other great things that have been happening, right? And so when we think about how does Link Crew fit or what might that look like at our high schools, I think a question we have is how does that integrate with some of the existing groups that are at our high school? How might it integrate with student government? Those are all questions that we have to answer as we go through the process, but we are hopeful because we do believe that our incoming 9th graders could benefit from an experience that's just as exciting as it is for our 6th graders when they transition into middle school.
Yeah, that's why I was really curious about the nomination process, because it's like, can we identify kids who wouldn't naturally go to student government, for instance, and this becomes another opportunity for them.
You need far more.
Yeah.
When you think of our 500 kids in an incoming class of
Right.
freshmen, you need a lot more than just a handful.
Yeah.
And I can speak, some of our 8th graders, we were chatting, we're a semester class here at Smith, and we were talking like, oh my gosh, we're almost done with the first semester. And they were talking about going to Troy High, and they're like, well, is there gonna be web there? Well, actually, I think they're talking about, that'd be so cool to get to do what the 6th graders got to do as 9th graders. So there's buzz around, with them as well. Just easing that transition, I think would be a nice thing for them.
Great, okay. Well,
we
thank
have
you all. Do we have certificates?
Of course we have certificates.
This is Troy. This is Troy. We have all the certificates.
Lost your poster. My daughter's gonna be here like 10 minutes. I wish she'd come.
That'd be great to see, well, when she sees it on video, whatever it's called. Yeah,
I'm in the Reds. My sister friends. She's in the Reds.
But wait, there's more. Third recognition.
Next, be my pleasure to invite our Director of Public Relations, Communications, Andrea Montante, to talk about our Michigan School Public Relations Association Awards.
Thank you, Dr. Wachowski, and thank you, Board of Education. We would like to recognize the Troy School District Communications Department this evening. The team received the 2023 MSPRA Michigan School Public Relations Association Gold Medallion Award for the Troy Bond 2022, Preparing for Tomorrow. The Troy School District team has been also recognized by the 2023 MSPRA Excellence Award Program for the following additional awards: Social Media Excellence, Audio Podcast Excellence, Financial Report Merit, Website Mobile App Merit, Video Merit, Newsletter Merit, and Marketing Materials Merit. We would like to recognize and congratulate the following staff. If you'd like to join me up here. Carrie Birmingham, who led the team, who actually should be up here, not me. Patrice Robo, Thomas Butcher, Adam Burns, and Linda Alfonso. Please help us welcome Rebecca Fannin, the Marketing Membership and Marketing Co-Chair for the MSPRA, and the Public Relations and Marketing Coordinator for the West Bloomfield School District. Also, Andrea Frank, Coordinator of Enrichment and Recreation from the West Bloomfield School District. They will be presenting the special recognition this evening on behalf of MSPRA.
It is our pleasure to be here on behalf of MSPRA, the premier organization for school communicators in Michigan with over 200 members statewide. MSPRA represents those who are on the front lines of communicating about the amazing students, staff, and stories in our public schools, stories like the ones you heard here tonight already. One of the ways we do this is through recognition of excellent communicators. And today it is my honor to present one of MSPRA's highest awards. As Kendra mentioned, Troy District received the 2023 Michigan School Public Relations Association's Gold Medallion Award. She didn't say that we only give one out in the state each year. And it was for your bond, as she mentioned, Preparing for Tomorrow campaign. So congratulations. MSPRA's Gold Medallion Award recognizes outstanding programs on projects that advance education through responsible communication. MSPRA's panel of experts judge the entries on the clarity of concept, good writing, and evidence of using the 4-step public relations RPI process: research, planning, implementation, and evaluation. Troy's submission exceeded the rigorous criteria for recognition, highlighting both the power of effective communications and the skill of your Troy team. Congratulations again to the Troy School District. We look forward to celebrating this at our MSPRA conference in March. We hope you'll all be there. And I have the beautiful award and plan to torture them after the next award out in the hallway.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, too. Speech.
Anyone like
Carrie,
to speak on behalf of the
speech.
team? Carrie, would you like to say some words on behalf of the
You
team?
would love to. You missed being here.
Luckily, this will be my last time, so I'll be able to, I'm happy to speak. And, you know, with most things in Troy, you know, this was a hugely collaborative effort. This is obviously an amazing and incredible communications team who are innovators, who work around the clock and truly give their heart and soul to try to tell the great stories of things that are going on in Troy. And they worked very, very hard on the bond to get out accurate information, to answer questions. But I think I'd be remiss, my colleagues there are you know, largely responsible for this, but I think also it's really important for us to note that our administrators, our central office administrators, our principals in the buildings, our teachers, and dozens of parent volunteers and community volunteers came together to make this bond communication plan successful. So I think the credit for this goes to all of them. And I think it's really important to note that I am grateful for having personally worked 13 years in a community that is so supportive of our schools. And we had an excellent opportunity to talk in groups, one-on-one, and before large bodies of people, to talk about the importance of the bond and to talk about the work that would be possible if this community supported it. And I think as we think about taking credit for an award, which is fantastic, and I'm very grateful for that, I think it's also important that we note that our community came out and supported this, both in the ballot, you know, on the ballot in the election booth, but also talking to their friends and their neighbors. And this truly became a real organic community effort. And I don't think that happens everywhere, and I think you all should be very proud of your leadership and of the way that you helped to steer this as well.
Thank you, Carrie.
I wanted to say, I read the judges' rubric, and it was really impressive, the work that you guys did and the criteria that were considered. So thank you for making us look good.
Okay, no certificates, that's right. You got a plaque.
Lastly, Thomas, we're going to ask you to the microphone for our last item of recognition this evening before you head out to the hallway for a picture.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Macheski, and good evening, Board of Education, and also hello to our student reps. You're all doing a great job. I wanted to mention that. As I think about the bond campaign, I always remember the work that our students in the Creative Guild did for that as well, producing various digital materials. And speaking of which, one of those students are with us here tonight. I'd like to introduce, or perhaps reintroduce, since she has done so much you may already be familiar with, Brianna Johnson, a senior from Athens High School, a leading editor for the yearbook class, and a valued member of the lacrosse team. Brianna has also spent the majority of her high school career in Athens TV and as a student producer, having many of her photos on our social media accounts, and of course has produced, directed, and edited many exceptional videos. Her work has been recognized by the Michigan Association of Broadcasters, the Michigan Interscholastic Press Association, the Michigan Student Film Festival, and the Michigan chapter of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. But of course, we can't forget her work on Loved to Death Overcrowding at the National Parks, which won second place in the C-SPAN Student Cam competition. Very impressive. And now, in her senior year, she is looking to finish strong by submitting more work to all of those competitions. We are all certainly wishing you luck, Brianna. I know that if you had more time, you would probably do a million more projects. Your passion and drive to create, share your voice, and amplify the voices of others is appreciated by all of us. Your talents and contributions will continue to inspire others in our school district to pursue their own dreams. Videos are a time capsule, and one day, long after you finish high school, when you look back on the work you've done here, I hope you will feel proud, just as Mr. Burns and myself are proud of you.
Too many days in the darkness, without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart and spend this time in your head. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart.
Today we're here at Larson Middle School getting the reactions of some students to show them what their classrooms may look like if the bond passes.
I like the more bigger classrooms. I like the modern look.
There's more options to move around and different types of places to sit, and there's also windows and natural light.
It's like more open and like it looks like a better place to be.
I started archery around like 4.5 years ago, and I did it on a whim. I kind of just found a summer camp and thought it would be fun, so I joined. We thought it'd be great to share it with all the students and give them an opportunity because it's kind of hard to find archery.
I do hope the high school does have a future program. I'll try to keep doing it through high school.
Everyone's having lots of fun, so we're looking forward to doing this again next year, and we're glad everyone's out here.
Alex's Saints is a charity in honor of Athens alumni Alex St. Pierre, who died in 2019 from a drug overdose.
We always knew that Alex had an issue. We always knew that he was partaking in these things. And we were one of the oblivious people. And we were like, that's never gonna happen to Alex. You know, it'll never happen here.
Alex always gave this perception that he was invincible. And so we believed that, you know, we kind of lied to ourselves and we had heard stories of this happening, but you just don't think it'll happen to you. And it's scary to speak up.
This is a fantastic event to be able to raise money for colorectal cancer research and treatment, and to also raise awareness for early screening for colorectal cancer. Right before he passed away, actually, he went on the radio and he told people the disease that he was fighting, and he urged them to go get themselves checked out and to really understand their health and go get a colonoscopy.
We're on a big pile of sand. The soils here are it's all sand. We're in a coastal dune area, so just people wouldn't think. I don't think people recognize that they really can do a lot of damage just by walking off trail.
It's almost a daily struggle. We try to figure out how we can maintain access where it still looks and feels wild, and when we start fencing things off like that, you know, it's just not the same.
There are many ways to be distracted, but only one way to be safe, and that is to focus on the road to protect yourself and others around you.
Wow.
So of course, we will open to any potential comments or questions from the board. But first, if Brianna wants to say a few words, it's all yours.
I just want to really thank Mr. Butcher and Mr. Burns for guiding me through this whole process and really opening these creative windows for me. I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without them, so I'm very grateful for them. And I just want to say thank you to my parents for always supporting me and encouraging me to pursue my passions.
Do you have any questions for Brianna?
I was gonna say, I know I've seen your name a lot on different things. Do you have a favorite project that was one you?
You know, the National Parks Project was really special to me, and just working with my partner, we had a lot of fun doing that, and I learned a lot from it. And then it was also just really cool, like seeing how many people it reached, and even being like interviewed by local newspapers was really a cool experience and really special.
Cool. Great. Go ahead.
So how old were you, or in what grade did you become involved in making videos and doing this type of work at school?
Yeah, so freshman year, Mr. Burns also coaches JVV soccer. So I went to their game and took a few photos for my friends, and he was really impressed by my photos. So he kind of started taking me into his classroom and giving me all this equipment. So then the end of my freshman year, I took photos for the girls' soccer and their state final game. And they were posted on the Instagram, and it said, taken by Brianna Johnson, Creative Guild producer. And I texted Mr. Burns, and I said, what is a Creative Guild? And then it really took off my sophomore year. So ever since then, I've just been helping out with different projects, and that's when I really started making the videos.
Great.
So you're a senior this year. What are you thinking of going into, or how do you pursue this further?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I want to go into yet, or if I want to do film, but I know it's definitely something I'll always use in life, and it'll definitely be a hobby of mine that I'll take with me.
Good. All right, fantastic. I think, do we have a certificate? We have
one left.
We have one just
Thank
for
you, Brianna.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, 5-minute recess. So if you were here for recognition and you want to sneak out, this is the time to sneak out. And we'll reconvene in a couple minutes here with the rest of the agenda. Okay, we're going to resume the meeting here. We'll start with additions and deletions.
There are none this evening.
Thank you. Then we move to public communication on agenda items. We have, I believe, 5. We have 5 on agenda items this evening. I think everybody here has done it before, but I'll just remind everyone that it's 3 minutes. Dr. Wilson will give you a flag warning at around the 30-second spot. If you could just come in and introduce yourself at the microphone and let us know whether you're a Troy resident and whether you have students in the district. Okay? So I have Michelle Malizik. That's my first. Miss Michelle Malizik.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Troy School District Board members, my name is Michelle Malzik. I am a parent of a first grade student in the district, as well as a former elementary educator. I stand before you today to speak regarding my concerns surrounding our English Language Arts curriculum, letters, professional development, and data transparency. Traditionally, the Troy School District has been cutting edge. Unfortunately, this is not the case with the English Language Arts curriculum or data transparency. Tonight, I want to bring attention to a matter of great importance: the lack of comprehensive data presented by our school districts regarding the English Language Arts curriculum. As stakeholders invested in the educational success of our students, it is crucial that we have access to transparent and thorough information about the curriculum that shapes their academic journey. I watched the board meeting, and I reviewed the English Language Arts data that was presented at the November workshop. The data was a broad display of aggregate averages. The district has the capability to drill down and present data by school, grade level, socioeconomic level, special education status, and race. Unfortunately, the district did not do this. Student data was not presented by cohort for reading recovery to prove lasting success or to substantiate the use of many full-time employees and potentially millions of dollars over the years that the program has been in place. The data presented did not tell parents anything other than what could have been looked up and easily pulled from the Michigan School Data website. The Michigan Department of Education is providing free grant-funded letters training. I have contacted the Troy School District to inquire how many Troy School District educators have taken the training. I was unsuccessful obtaining this information, and I was told to file a FOIA request. The Michigan Letters course will provide sustained and job-embedded professional learning opportunities grounded in the science of reading. I ask you, board members, today, why haven't all Troy School District K-3 teachers and administrators taken the letters training? Troy School District teachers are world-class and need world-class tools to help our students. I ask you to dig deeper into the data packet that we have provided you today. Ask the Troy School District administrators these important questions. Review the data packets that we have presented to you and broken down by category and cohort. Troy School District cannot hide behind high averages and call itself world-class. Why haven't all teachers taken the grant-funded letters training? Why are you presenting aggregate averages at our annual workshop?
Your time is up.
Thank you. Dr. Audra Melton. Good evening.
I've got my teacher thing going, so I brought a prop. You might need a little comic relief. So, get ready for it. There you go. So, hello board members. My name is Dr. Audra Melton. I'm a Troy resident and parent of a 2022 graduate and a current senior. I'm also a retired TSD administrator from the IA East and Baker Middle School. I'm here tonight to talk about two of my favorite things, my son and data. I'll start with my son. Several of you know him, and for those of you who don't, this is my guy. As you can see, he's definitely full of personality. He's having an amazing senior year despite his struggles with dyslexia. He was identified at the beginning of first grade as being in need of reading intervention and participated in reading recovery. He made adequate progress and was deemed on grade level by the end of the program. However, second and third grade came and went, and despite additional help of a private tutor trained in reading recovery, he failed to make the progress he needed to stay on grade level. I personally requested an evaluation, and he was found to qualify for special education services in reading and writing. Today, he's an honors student despite his disability, and looking at his grades, one may think he's an average kid. What those grades don't show is the over $60,000 I have paid for private tutoring over 11 years, or the over 1,100 hours he spent outside of school gaining skills that weren't provided to him in the classroom. Now I'll get into the data. Doesn't it seem logical to track your most vulnerable population over time? You know my son by what I've told you, but what about the other 100 or so reading recovery students that were in his cohort? How many of these kids were certified with a learning disability? How many of these kids left the district to attend private schools? Have their parents spent thousands of dollars on tutoring? What are their grades or test scores? Do they take AP classes? Do they go to OSTC? Do these kids go to IA East or TCCHS? What are their plans after high school? What about the other approximately 1,200 students in 2nd through 11th grade that were in reading recovery? These questions can't be answered because no one has collected the data, which brings me to my point. We should be collecting more data on these students to evaluate the effectiveness of our interventions and to glean insights on what factors make some students succeed while others regress. When I recently served as interim assistant superintendent for instruction and inclusion in Birmingham, I had access to longitudinal data for reading recovery participants. It showed that some made gains, but for others those gains dropped off. Wouldn't it be great if we were able to use data to determine the type of intervention students needed rather than placing them all into the same one and hoping that they may be effective? Hopefully we can move forward in this direction. I'm providing each of you a copy with Reading at the Speed of Sight, a book by Dr. Mark Seidenberg. He's a cognitive neuroscientist that specializes in reading research. I hope you'll read this and take these into consideration when moving forward with data decisions. So
Thank you.
This is the book.
Mrs. Stephanie Zendler.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Zendler, and I'm a Troy resident and a 13-year TSD parent. I have 7 former and current TSD students in my family. 4 of my 7 TSD students have or have had an IEP. I'm a professional and seasoned educator with 25 years teaching and administrative experience, serving in 4 different school districts in Wayne and Oakland counties. My most recent work was here in the TSD for the previous 12 years. My moral code, my loyalty to the children in the TSD, and my passion for equity compel me to come to you tonight to speak about the ELA curriculum in the TSD. It is my hope that you, as a board, once you know better, you can do better as you help to shape the work of the district as it relates to K-12 literacy instruction and professional development for the hard-working teachers in the TSD. Students identified with disabilities are one of the most vulnerable student groups in the TSD and really nationally. In TSD, the special education population is between 15 and 20% of the total population, or about 2,000 to 2,500 students in the district. Students, Tier 1 instructional materials that are responsible for covering the content assessed on the M-STEP assessment for these students in ELA are the Calkins units of study for the entirety of their TSD career. Please note, as I share some data, achievement gaps or space between achievement of disabled peers versus non-disabled peers. Does one exist? If so, how big is it? Why is this gap occurring? Remember, Tier 1 is the most impactful thing. And last, for you to consider, do these children matter? Let me show you some data provided in the packet given to you from the My School data on non-achievement of this important subgroup by looking at non-proficiency rates. We first see our collective students as 4th graders in 2021. This was the COVID hybrid year. Non-disabled students who were non-proficient came in at 27%, while disabled students non-proficient was 76%, with an achievement gap between the 2 groups of 49 points. Fast forward to current, or as current as we have publicly available, 22-23 M-STEP non-proficiency rates for these same students as 6th graders. Non-disabled students not proficient, 32%. That's only 3 of 10 non-disabled kids failing the M-STEP in ELA. Whereas non-proficiency rates for students with disabilities was 84%. That's more than 8 of every 10 students identified with a disability failing the ELA portion of the M-STEP. This most current data represents an achievement gap of 52% between the groups, and a widening of the existing gap by 6% year over year. Put simply, I believe that the current ELA curriculum and model is ineffective and inequitable for the success of all students and should be critically evaluated against current best practice and informed by guidance from national and state level initiatives that include the real application of the science of reading. I asked you earlier to consider, do these children matter? Well, do they? I believe that when you know better, you can do better. Here's to hoping you will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Tracy Owens. Good evening.
Good evening. Tracy Owens, mom of 3 students in the district. Over the past few years, I have spoken in front of this board multiple times about the current ELA curriculum and reading assessments. At the November 14th board workshop, a presentation on student achievement data was given. I watched the presentation with hope that the board would be shown clear evidence of the persistent achievement gaps that are seen in the M-STEP reading assessment scores. Unfortunately, the presentation that was given did not dive into the depths of the assessment data. Instead, the data for grades 3 through 7 were combined into one single graph, which presents a skewed representation by artificially inflating the numbers and masking the true academic performance. This approach lacks accuracy and integrity, misleading the board and stakeholders by obscuring the actual challenges and disparities faced within each grade level and subgroup. A slide in the presentation made note of being able to use this data to track student cohorts over time, but that data was not presented. Another slide displaying generalities such as the pandemic disrupting the data sets, M-STEP data not being useful for program assessment,
and not being able to drill down on the data with the same level of consistency was shown. However, the MSTEP data can be useful when it is broken down to show the achievement gaps between different student populations. If you look at the graphs made with data from michiganschooldata.org, that breaks down the scores by following class cohorts and then showing the achievement gaps between economically disadvantaged students, English language learners, and students with disabilities, an alarming reality surfaces. The difference in reading proficiency among students from different socioeconomic backgrounds, races, and communities is substantial. This gap is not just a statistical disparity. It represents a profound inequality of opportunities, potential, and futures. Reading is not solely about decoding words on a page. It unlocks the gateway to knowledge, imagination, and limitless possibilities. Yet, regrettably, many students are denied equal access to this gateway due to various factors like unequal access to financial resources. It is crucial to recognize that the achievement gap in reading assessments is not a result of the shortcomings of the students themselves. Rather, it reflects the shortcomings of our school district's curriculum decisions and implementation. Every child
30
deserves the
seconds.
opportunity to unlock their full potential, to dream big, and to achieve their aspirations. The Troy School District should strive to bridge this gap, and this board must address the root causes of this disparity and dismantle these barriers to create an environment where every student can thrive.
Thank you. That's the last one, right?
This gentleman here, yes.
Oh, right, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Cyril Patel. Sorry, I thought I'd already handed to him. Good evening.
Good evening, Cyril Patel, moving to Troy hopefully next year, property owner currently. So good evening. Back in May, many parents expressed concern of lack of data to support the curriculum changes to remove honors English and honors math, some even citing data to its historical harm. Dr. Macheski took the inexcusable step of emailing everyone that they, or we, were essentially paid far-right extremists. With divisive rhetoric coming from the top, it's no surprise that administrators and members of the board were dismissive and often rude. I myself, in detail, articulated the need to periodically assess both achievement and growth via such tools as the NWEA MAP Growth Assessment, which our neighboring districts use to much success and with positive parent feedback. The president's email was, "We only make reason-based decisions." And administrators literally rolled their eyes at me. A few months later, Troy has announced it's going to do NWEA. So firstly, thank you. But I guess this proves that what I suggested isn't without reason and certainly not far-right extremist. I share this only as I hope a lesson is learned by this. It is not the case that expertise or knowledge only exists on your side of the table. As you hear other parents speak, please do understand that a lot of research has been put into what many parents express to you, and it's not a political thing, it is indeed reason-based. Troy's announcement of NWEA was only for math and only for select grades. Again, I reiterate, neighboring districts do it for both math and English beginning first grade. Again, the implementation that I saw begins math in 5th grade. Troy seemingly only uses the Fontas benchmark for English. That is the only assessment that I understand is being taken into consideration right now, which does not adequately track growth and achievement. Again, I want to reiterate, parents talk to each other not only within the district but across other districts, and they can see in significant detail where the kids are growing, not growing, and the cadence of which in other districts. The reports that these other assessments provide are far more superior to the data that parents in Troy are getting. The need for periodic, objective, nationalized, comprehensive, third-party assessments is particularly of interest to parents of children suffering from dyslexia, autism, and other such ailments. There is a glaring difference in what Troy parents see compared to others, and beyond that, there is so much more I could say about the shortcomings of Troy in terms of data collection. I'll be sending an email with an article specifically discussing the failures observed with the Fontas benchmark. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next we move to our general consent agenda. This consists of the minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 Board of Education workshop. B, the minutes of the October 17th, 2023 Board of Education meeting. C, the minutes of the November 14th, 2023 Special Board of Education meeting in closed session. D, the minutes of the November 14th, 2023 Board of Education workshop. E, the second reading and adoption of revised recommended board policies. F, appointment of a clergy member for the 2023-24 Sex Education Advisory Board. G, the treasurer's report from September of 2023. H, the treasurer's report, from October of 2023. And I, the general fund budget amendment number 1. May I have a resolution, please? Mr. Hoff.
Be it therefore resolved that the Troy Board of Education takes action to approve items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I of the consent agenda.
Support.
I have a resolution by Mr. Hoff, supported by Mr. Hopt. Are there any questions or comments on this? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. All right, now we move to personnel.
Pagel.
Mr. Pagel. Good evening, Mr. Pagel.
Mr. Schmidt, members of the board. I have two personnel matters for your consideration this evening. The first is for an administrative appointment for Director of Technology, and I'm pleased to tell the board that we had a very robust pool and a very competitive pool with both in-state and out-state candidates, and with that, I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of Mr. Troy Wissink. It is not a coincidence that his first name is Troy, to the position of Technology Director. Mr. Wissink has a comprehensive 23-year career in K-12 schools. He started working in the technology department for Saline area schools in 2000. During this time, he worked as a network administrator, IT manager, and served as the Director of Technology from 2016 through 2022. Mr. Wissink then went on to be the Director of Technology for Huron Valley Schools for the past 2 years. Mr. Wissink holds a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management and a Master of Science in Cybersecurity from the University of Detroit Mercy. So with your approval, Mr. Wissink will begin his duties as Technology Director here in Troy as of January 1st, 2024.
Great, thank you. We're being asked to appoint an administrative appointment for a new technology director. May I have a resolution, please? Ms. Anne?
Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education issues a 2-year probationary administrative contract without tenure in the administrative position to Mr. Troy Wissink, who will begin his duties as Technology Director as of January 1st, 2024.
Thank you. I have a resolution by Ms. Anne, supported by Dr. Wilson. Are there any comments or questions about this? I'm impressed. We had, was it 27 that we went through? So congratulations on the amount of interviews that you went through. But I was really worried about this appointment, and he's got outstanding qualifications. So
Really excited.
I bet we're all a little bit relieved.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you. I'm the only one talking, so we'll go for a vote. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. Thank you.
And second, this evening, we have for your consideration a 1.0 counselor position at Larson Middle School and a 1.0 early childhood educator at the TSD preschool. With that, it is recommended the Board of Education approves the issuance of a probationary contract to the following teachers for the 2023-2024 school year.
Okay, thank you for being asked to approve the hire of 2 new teachers, actually 1 counselor and 1 early childhood educator. May I have a resolution, please? Ms. Alish?
Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Education takes action to approve the aforementioned personnel recommendation as stated above.
Support.
I have a resolution by Ms. Alish, supported by Ms. Anne. Any questions or comments?
So are these the last 2 of our outstanding positions?
We're down to 2 special education positions that have come open, so that's about it. We're in good shape.
Okay, so those are new. Those weren't on the list previously.
We have one from the beginning of the year and then 1 new.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. Thank you. Yeah, welcome to our new people. They're not here, but welcome to them.
we're going to bring Troy back in January. He'll be here in January for the meeting.
Yeah.
So you'll have a chance to meet him.
I know this was moving really quickly to try to get him in place. So, okay, thank you. That moves us to curriculum, student achievement data. Good evening.
Good evening, Board of Education. Chris and I are here tonight to walk through our student assessment data. As a team, we were able to present a more thorough data assessment review at our November workshop. This is a more brief approach. And so I just want it to be noted that we did have some great conversation and were able to dig through some of the details during that November time. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started in looking at and reminding us of the kind of data that we are looking at here. So this data that we are focusing on is the data that we use to inform our programming, and it's the measures that we use consistently over time. It's important to understand that this is not a comprehensive review of the data that we have available to us as an organization, and it's not a deep dive into what we use at a building level or to inform decisions that we make for specific students. This really is the data that we use to inform our programming, and again, consistent measures that we use over time. So we'll look specifically at the variety of different kinds of data that are in here and explain a little bit as to why they were selected. So we'll start with our SAT 11 data. So the SAT is a nationally normed assessment that we give each year as part of our MME requirements from the state of Michigan. We know that this will allow us to be able to track programmatic impact over time. We look at that data to be able to compare ourselves to the state as well as the county in how our students perform. It allows us to reflect again on programs. It's something that we would consider dead data because we don't get it until after the student has moved on. So this is not data that we would dig into to specifically look on how a student is performing or how to address specific student needs. So this data on this slide that you see here was provided to us by Oakland County. It is how Troy measures in comparison to other county districts across the Oakland County. Troy is the column that's listed there in gray, so you can see us at about 77% proficient, and this is in reading and writing at 11th grade. The dot that's represented throughout this slide is our percentage of students who are economically disadvantaged. And this is called out specifically by the county because that is an area of concern for us because those students who are typically identified as economically disadvantaged tend to struggle more academically. So what we note and we look at when we look at data like this is how are we performing in comparison to other districts who have similar levels of economically disadvantaged students. So you can see Troy has about 17% of students who are economically disadvantaged as identified there. And the peers on either side of us are not far off, but about 14% and 19% economically disadvantaged on either side. This is that same data that's looked at in math performance with economically disadvantaged for the SAT. And as we move across again, Troy is in the column in gray. This is really comparison-based data. This lets us see how we're doing in the county, how we're doing in comparison to the state of Michigan. So very broad brush of how our programs are impacting students and our performance of students. So one of the questions that we're often asked is what kind of data might we use to inform instruction? So the SAT suite of data, the SAT suite of assessments is important to us as an organization. For those of you on the board, I know you're well aware, and hopefully our community knows, we have a SAT suite of assessments that begins in 8th grade with the PSAT 8, and that tracks through 11th grade. So we have the PSAT 9, PSAT 10, and then the SAT 11. And the reason that this is of benefit to us is because there are consistent measures and consistent subgroups or subcategories throughout for us to be able to look at student performance. So when we start to dig into and really start to ask questions about our programming, these subcategories are areas where we can reflect and see how students are performing, and then look at our own teaching practices to see if they're aligned with those subcategories. So on the next slide here, you see that the SAT defines 3 different areas for math subcategories. So there's the heart of algebra, passport to advanced mathematics, problem solving, and data analysis. And these 3 subcategories provide us with, and you can see the definitions there, I won't read those for you. They identify the kinds of problems that are encompassed in these assessments. And then we can look at our student performance in each one of these areas. So this would allow us as an organization to be able to reflect on how are we doing in the different areas as related to our mathematics instruction. And what we see and what we want to continue to see is us pushing from the bottom up. And so what that means from our perspective is a growth in the green at the bottom. So the green is the proficient or advanced, and a shrinking of the red at the top. Right? We don't want to see just a growth of yellow in the center there, but we want to be able to see it move up. In addition, I think what's important to note at what you're looking at on the screen, this is not the overall proficiency. This is the proficiency in any one subcategory. So a student could score proficient or advanced in one subcategory, partially in another, and partially in a third, but still be proficient overall. So the indicators that you see here represent the score in each one of those subcategories specifically. So this student group, and one of the things that we've been studying and watching is these are 11th grade scores. And so when we look at our students in 2022 and 2023 in particular, these are students who were disrupted in their instruction of Algebra 1 during the pandemic. And we know that our Algebra 1 course is an incredibly important gateway class for students. So high proficiency in the basics of Algebra 1 provides you with a higher likelihood to be successful in advanced level mathematics. And so disrupted math instruction during that time can be impactful to students later. We expect to see our scores continue to grow, our proficiency continue to grow as we have students in front of our highly trained teachers in the classroom. Again, you'll see the subcategories now for English language arts.
We have a question on the previous slide, so.
Maybe at the end, we can go through questions if that's okay.
We'll do that.
Okay.
So the SAT is also broken into subcategories for ELA. What you'll see here when we look at our ELA scores is that our students tended to be more consistent over time in ELA. So you can see that our variation is not as large, even with the impact of the pandemic. One of the things that stands out to us and we've been asking questions about is our student performance when it comes to standard English conventions. So when we think about that, there's been quite a movement and shift in secondary instruction when it comes to, at the high school level in particular, teaching grammar in context versus teaching grammar isolated. And so having the conversation on making sure that we are really getting into those English conventions with students. But we can see here that that's an area of growth for us and focus. Again, this is subcategory scores, but our overall proficiency for students in ELA was 77% of the juniors. This next area focuses really on our math benchmarking. We'd like to name PSAT 8 and NWEA. As we heard just a little bit ago here at the podium, NWEA is being implemented in Troy. We have piloted and we've begun a pilot of using NWEA as a benchmark assessment in mathematics in particular. We have had a few classes piloted this fall to ensure that our technology is set up because it is a computer adaptive assessment. And we will be implementing it in all of our 6th grade and 7th grade math classes going into the winter and spring. This will allow us to be able to collect another data point on the continued growth of our students in mathematics, given our new math curriculum. It will also allow us to engage in a program evaluation in partnership with Illustrative Math. In order to partner with them, we needed to be engaged in a nationally normed assessment. What is good to know about the NWEA that is a little bit different than the PSAT and other assessments that we're talking about here is that the NWEA is given during class. So it is during your math class. It's not a separate assessment where you get pulled out or we disrupt the school day. So we're looking forward to the data from our NWEA, which we should have more of in the spring and headed into next fall. Our subcategory for PSAT 8, so if we kind of go back to what we were just talking about, we can see our student scores are even here starting to rebound in mathematics. So these students were impacted also by the pandemic, but they were impacted at younger years, so before getting into algebra and pre-algebra skills. Our 8th grade students scored at a proficiency level overall of 69%. And then when we look here, we see a pretty incredible performance by our 8th grade students in evidence-based reading and writing. I think that one of the things that we are proud of here in Troy, and we've certainly talked quite a bit with our board, is this is evidence of our aligned K-8 curriculum implemented well across our buildings to show student performance. So we have incredible performance of our students. We have 86% of our 8th graders testing at either the proficient or advanced level in reading and writing on the PSAT 8. Certainly, 86% does also mean that 14% of our students are not meeting those standards, and that is the work for us to focus on, and that is the work that we are doing at our buildings. We expect that the comprehensive and aligned approach that we have in ELA will start to take root also in mathematics. So last year, the board approved of a new mathematics curriculum, K through 8. That implementation and the dedication of our coaching staff for our teachers will allow for us to see that continuum, and we expect that our scores will continue to grow in math, similarly to how they've grown in ELA over time. And my partner here is going to talk a little bit about MSTEP.
Christine. I wanted to underscore one of the points that Christine had made earlier about just being extremely comprehensive with this work. This is the work of many hands, although we're talking about MSTEP and state level, kind of high level assessments. It's important to know that as we shared with the board at our last meeting, that this work is incredibly comprehensive, and it's, again, the work of many hands from our teachers, and it ultimately impacts our students. We're always working to take an honest look at our data, and I know and heard loud and clear from our board how important it is to find areas by which we're not growing as well, right? So to be able to name the conditions that are helping our students to excel, but also take a really hard look at our data. I know that's important. Every child in this system is important to our Board of Education and to our educators that work so hard. And so we don't take that lightly, and we're always, again, taking a look together and collaboratively at what's best for our students. In terms of our MSTEP, we take a look at this, we assess students, as Christine shared. This is just a high-level snapshot, and it's always important to remember that our students that take this test are no longer in that grade level that's taken in the spring. And we look at this and to share with the board at a more comprehensive level. Our building principals are looking at this through their school improvement process, through the individual level and the formative assessments, and making literally individual plans for our children. And so again, this is a high-level look at our data, but this is important for us to look at our programming to kind of measure and benchmark ourselves against what's happening in our county. But again, it's important to know that this is just a look at some of the more standardized level assessments. And again, you can go ahead, Christine, this is more of a programmatic lens and a view. So we're, again, there in the gray, we look at the percent of ELA proficiency, and the dot there represents the economically disadvantaged, which is really important for us to take a look at. I think Christine had mentioned, but I think we look at ourselves as a system. So one grade level at a time, we can take a look at things like perhaps where we're falling and dipping and things like that, but it's important to look at ourselves on the whole, and I think it's a huge celebration for our group to share in the data and make sure that we're continuing to excel in that way. In terms of the math, you can see, as Christine mentioned, we're really hopeful. I know the board has taken several opportunities to have some classroom visits and to look at things like math recovery and see how our teaching learning team has trained individuals to become specialists. And we expect that this data will improve on the whole as well. So we look forward to that as we move ahead.
And just to close this out, we have a few celebrations. Really what we do at the end of the year is we look at some of this exit data. So one area for us to look at is our International Baccalaureate program. So the IA East is 100% under our International Baccalaureate Diploma program. So all students at the IA test for a full diploma. And each year we study and collect the data on students who are acquiring the diploma. So here what we see is we had a pretty significant dip in diploma acquisition in the 2023 school year. And I think it's important that we stand up here and are transparent and honest with you as a board that we recognize that we can do better, and we have in the past. Mr. Griffin, who's our new principal over there, he and Ms. Noss have already begun working with students who are in the senior class, and a big kickoff for the juniors who begin their DP classes to talk about the importance of focus and study as we move toward diploma acquisition. I think it's important to note that 100% of the students of the class of 2023 earned a Troy School District.
I was going to say, be very clear on that.
I want to make sure. I realize that probably should be in writing on the slide for those who might not hear us, but 100% of those students earned their Troy School District diploma. We also know that one of the defining characteristics of our Troy School high school programs is our advanced placement courses. So between Troy High School and Troy Athens, we offer we hold more than 4,000 student tests annually. So we have quite a few students who are enrolled in our AP classes and taking those courses. Why AP courses are important to us and why do we look at that? AP courses are externally evaluated, right, when you take an assessment. So you have an opportunity to be held to a standard that is designed outside of your own school, and the College Board holds all students to that same standard. We know that colleges and universities also recognize and support the learning that takes place in those AP courses. The AP, the College Board provides us with feedback called the AP Honor Roll, and this is in front of you to provide you with the data at both Troy High School and at Athens. We see an incredibly comprehensive program at both of our high schools. That first college culture line that's up there, that first row, that talks about the percent of students in the graduating class who took an AP exam at any point in high school, regardless of the score. So that's looking at the class of 2023 that graduated last year. And that means that 61% of the students, seniors who graduated, and 69% at Troy High took an AP course at some point during their time. So it's a pretty large percentage. The second row that's there, the college credit, is the percent of students in the graduating class who scored a 3 or higher on any AP exam. So you don't get counted twice if you got 2 3s or higher. You just get counted once if you made it there. So 50% of our students who graduated from Athens and 65% of our students who graduated from Troy High scored a 3 or a higher on an AP test. And the last, the college optimization, is actually quite an interesting row. It focuses on the percent of students in the graduating class who took 5 or more AP exams in high school, where at least one of those exams was taken during 9th or 10th grade. And the reason that this is important is because one of the things that we continue to work on is the culture of excellence and the culture of rigor and finding a balance at our schools. So the College Board has asked us to really consider, and honors in that row, introducing students at an earlier age to an opportunity to take a course so that they don't wait till their junior and senior year and cram in 10 or 12 of those AP classes, but to spread that experience across their time. And so what we can see here is, you can see the numbers there, 27 and 30% of our students had an opportunity to take 5 or more and started in either that 9th or 10th grade. And then finally, the last piece of data that I'd like to share is related to Troy College and Career High School. So over the past 4 years, this board has dedicated and committed resources to reimagining the program at TCCHS. From my arrival here in Troy back in 2019, when we purchased the old ITT Tech building and lovingly turned it into the Troy Learning Center, it has been an investment in a space for all of our students, and providing our TCCHS students with the opportunity to transition from Niles to a place like TLC has been incredible. We've also had 2 really noteworthy leaders at TCCHS over the last 5 years, in Bill Turner and in Angela Milanoff. Both embraced very much the belief that all students have a place here in Troy and that we will find a pathway for students to be successful, and that we need to be creative in how we think about secondary instruction, that it's not all the same, and that an alternative setting doesn't just need to be a place where things are louder and slower. Right? We need to be innovative and creative and flexible. So that vision really took root, and Mrs. Milanoff in the last few years, in partnership with the staff at TCCHS, have really worked to elevate student voice and choice. The space that's there is really incredible, and the course book of opportunities for students continues to grow. And what we've seen over time is not only a growth in our graduation rate, so our 4-year graduation rate increased from 2017-18 until the 21-22 school year, it went from 38% to 63%. But probably even more noteworthy is the dropout rate went from 23% to 3%. And that doesn't even include last year's data because that hasn't been state authorized yet, so I couldn't put it in. But that continues to grow, and I think just speaks volumes to the incredible work that's going on there. And I know that Tegan could even give us more details. But it's a really incredible place, and the teachers who teach there and the administrators there are wonderful, and the student body has really embraced owning that space and the culture and climate of that building. So I think it's important just to note overall, this data in conclusion conclusion, I think, is an opportunity for us to, again, reflect programmatically on what we offer here in Troy, giving just a little bit of a taste of each area with a focus for you as a board. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Okay, great. I'm going to let you bounce them all the way back. No.
Okay. I had a question about I think it's the ELA one where it showed a few years, or is it the map? Just go backwards a little bit.
Is it this kind of a?
Yeah, no, the one that had subdivided sections with, okay, right there, that one, I think. Oh, you're moving it, okay.
This one?
Yeah, I think that one.
Did you want math or reading and writing?
I guess either one is fine. My question is very generic. So we've spent a lot of effort trying to help our students who've lost some of our learning during COVID, and we put in a lot of resources in remedial stuff and help in school, either summer as well as after school and stuff like that. I guess it's a more generic question. Have those helped? Would these numbers have been worse if we didn't have them? Or have we targeted them the right way? Just your thoughts.
No, I think that's a difficult question for me to answer with this data as an answer to it. Most of the supports that we've put in place at the high school, so if we're specifically speaking to high school, because that's what this data is, most of the supports at the high school have been credit recovery supports. And so, have those helped? Yes, they've granted students credit that they lost either throughout the pandemic for a variety of reasons. Our structures for supports in our schools has been on coaching, and that work has really focused on our teachers and our teachers' ability to be able to adapt and implement and differentiate in the classroom. And so the outcome measurement for that, I don't have a good, I can't point to that when it comes to a standardized test. Chris could maybe speak a little bit to the interventions that we've been using and investing in at the younger grades.
Sure. I think holistically, absolutely, they have. I think that, again, at the individual level, we're looking to make sure that kids are making accelerated progress. Again, sometimes that doesn't always transfer over to being completely proficient, but they are making progress. With students that are not, where we're looking to always think about ways that we're huddling around them and seeing if there's something else going on. But I think from a general lens, absolutely. And we're always looking for different ways as well to kind of extend learning opportunities. You mentioned summer school and things like that to make sure that we're meeting their needs.
I think it's important to note, and this was on one of the slides and I didn't mention it, ours at the middle and the high school level this year we've also implemented a benchmark assessment called Common Lit. And so that is a standards-based benchmark assessment, and that is being used in 6th grade through 12th grade at our high schools 3 times a year, so in the fall, in the winter, and then in the spring. So what that's allowing us to do is to be able to measure student performance based on standard and then look at student growth based on standard over time for those English teachers at the secondary level.
Is that like a formative assessment, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can teach after.
Right. Correct.
Assessment.
So they can see, our teachers actually can see from that assessment within their classroom of 20, maybe who's strong in certain areas and not in others. It allows them to create groups to support student needs, and then it also allows them to give incremental measurements throughout to see if those student needs are being met.
And we did not have any such before.
We didn't use an external benchmark before this year. We had an internal benchmark that we've used for the last 3 years, and then this new Common Lit assessment has replaced our internal benchmark.
Okay, very good.
It's also aligned to the state standards. I think that's important with our formative assessments. They align to the standards that we're required to teach, which this is also aligned to as well.
Follow up on this. You talked about help for credit recovery, and I'm going to kind of pivot into IA and the fact that our graduation rates have come down. Do we do
Not graduation rates, be very clear on that.
Okay.
IB diploma attainment.
Acquisition rates.
Yes.
I mean, diploma acquisition rates have come down quite a bit. And this is an external assessment. It's not our own assessment. So do we do any kind of recovery there or help for IA students at all?
So that's a great question. So when students, so in order to acquire a diploma, students have to earn a certain number of points based on their scores in other assessments. So it's not as easy as saying you got it or you didn't, and it's because of this reason. because you and I could each earn or not earn it based on completely different reasons to get to that number.
Right.
So students do have an opportunity to contest and come back if they don't if they don't acquire the full diploma. Most students are in college at that point and are not interested in coming back. Because, as I stated, 100% of those students are earning the Troy School District diploma, and we are close to 100% proficiency on the SAT at the IA East as well. So our students are achieving very highly. So when we think about intervention and support at IA East, what it tends to look like is departments come together to look at the scores across the tri-campus model, and they have conversations about why students may have been assessed higher or lower in certain areas, and then they tweak their own instruction to be able to get better performance on the other end.
It's kind of like AP. It's almost like
Yes,
that
it is,
because you're
but
trying
at a larger
to.
scale because it's a tri-campus.
Right.
I do have a follow-up to that, which is we saw that decline. Did you see that same decline in the other two campuses?
Both other campuses saw a decline, not as large of a decline as ours.
Okay.
And final question, hopefully. The AP honor rolls that you showed, how do we compare to neighboring like districts? Just curious.
No, that's a great question. It would be speculation, my answer off the cuff.
You
So
wouldn't-
I
yeah.
can't speculate on that. I did not pull the data for comparison when it comes to AP.
Okay.
But I do know at 4,000 tests, it's a lot more than I've experienced in my previous districts.
I get it. And the TCCHS graduation rates, you show percentages. Just curious about the numbers. How many kids are we graduating approximately?
I'd have to, again, Vital, I'd be happy to go back and grab those numbers
that's
for
good.
you. But
That's
we,
good.
depending on
Not
any given year, we have, and I think, Carl and Rich could speak to this as well. We have around between 30 and 50 graduates in any given year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
gather that information.
That's it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think our graduation classes are pretty comparable.
Questions like that would be really helpful in advance because we could provide that for you.
I just thought about
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Ms. Alish, you had some questions as well?
Yeah, so I wanted to just use the SAT 11 data. So, for example, looking at the English, you noted it that the English conventions students did worse in that than they did in the other three categories, and so we look at that and to see, so as a result of these results, what, if anything, are we doing at the high school level to, I'll say to correct for, but to
Mitigate.
to make, yeah, to make
Mhm.
sure that future classes of students are getting that instruction?
So I can speak more globally to some applications of these assessments to contribute to the work that's going on specifically at the high school. So if you look, and we talked briefly about this as a board at some point, but if you look at our 8th grade scores, you can see where our student proficiency is, and it's at 86%. And when we study the performance of students as a team, we look at the performance of all of our students. So we look at how are all of our student groups performing. So though it's presented to you here publicly at the board as a aggregate group, when we study and have conversations about our programming, we look at our student groups inclusive of special education, of ELD students, of students who are economically disadvantaged. We break down all of their performance and we study how they do over time. And so one of the things that we have identified, and I think is evident when you, again, look here at this PSAT 8, and then we move to, I'll go backwards, this is our SAT 11. What we have seen over time is that our students' peak performances in 8th grade in reading and writing, and then our student groups start to fall below average, one at a time, from 9th grade to 10th grade to 11th grade. So we start to see student performance fall. So though we have 77% of students proficient or advanced on the SAT in 11th grade, and that's an admirable score, it's nothing compared to where we were in 8th grade when we were at 86% proficient.
Yeah.
So we've started asking questions about what does our high school ELA program look like to provide all students with high levels of instruction. So we identified that our K-8 aligned curriculum has provided all students with a robust level of instruction, all students. You can't opt out of those opportunities. In our high schools, we started to see student groups make different decisions at Troy High in Athens about their abilities in ELA, and they were provided with different kinds of curriculum, different levels of curriculum. We also noted that currently, the current structure at Troy High in Athens is that in junior year, you can opt to take electives for ELA, and for some of our students, both of their electives are second semester. Both of their electives might be first semester. And there's not a robust year-long, high-level expectation for juniors when it comes to ELA. And we all know that the junior year culminates in getting ready for some of those high-need college applications and or work, right? Work readiness. You're going out for interviews. You're getting ready to do different things. So my long-winded answer, Amina, I'm sorry, is that this sort of data helps us inform our programming. So when we looked at our PSAT and SAT over time, we know that our students aren't achieving, they're starting to fall off. When we talk specifically about subcategory conversations, when we're looking at standard conventions of ELA, our team, and Chris referenced this earlier, the very robust team, but at our secondary level, Natalie and Amanda Fisher and Joe O'Brien are our secondary ELA team. They're the ones who dig in because right now we have just approved our new 9th grade curriculum, and we are currently writing the draft of that 10th grade curriculum to ensure that we start to address these conventions more intentionally throughout that new curriculum.
Okay, so that's how you use that data. Okay.
Great, thank you.
And then when it comes to the math and the SAT 11 math, you had mentioned that, when we look at these years, those students, a lot of those students missed that Algebra 1. So I remember at some point in the last year talking about, and I don't know whether it was at Athens or Troy High, that there was a pilot program that there's that more extensive Algebra 1 class where it's 2 hours instead of 1, so students are getting the study skills. So where are we, if that is such a foundational skill, where are we in that process when it comes to Algebra 1?
So you're right. So last year we piloted it's called intensified algebra. So we had one section of it in each one of our buildings last year. We have it again this year. And that is a double blocked class that provides students who have traditionally struggled in math with more robust supports for algebra. And our math specialists are a part of teaching that as well. So they're collecting data, and they do a lot of formative data collection because they are able to assess their intensified algebra students and then also go into a regular algebra class and do the same assessment to see if their students are on par and what's happening before and after units. So they're collecting that data because we know that 2 blocks in a high school day it's a lot, out of 6, right? So we want to make sure that if we continue to offer it, that we have the data to be able to show that it's being successful. So we're also studying, and one of the challenges is the way that we run algebra math in the high school is we run the algebra geometry, algebra 2 course pattern, which exists in a variety of places, but geometry is not necessarily a good indicator of strong skills from algebra 1. It's typically algebra 2. So our students who were in intensified algebra last year who are now in geometry, we're watching how they do there, but we know that their knowledge is really going to be put to the test when it comes to algebra 2.
And this is only our second year
Correct.
offering that, so we've got to wait to see.
But that first cohort of students, they're sophomores now, which means they're going to be taking the SAT 11 next year, right? They're going to be juniors.
Correct.
So are we going to have a way to track any of that, or would it even make sense to look at that?
We could pull their data. It would, we would just have to create a query for it and pull it out and see how they did.
Dr. Wilson, you got some questions?
I just have a couple of quick questions. One is, you had mentioned the SAT is dead data because the kids take it and then
they're gone.
we get the scores way after. The NWEA, is that not dead data, or is it also dead data?
No, so the NWEA data is provided for teachers almost instantly. So it's a computer adaptive assessment, right? So like the day after they can access it. The challenge with us right now is it's a whole new data system.
Learning how to interpret it. Yeah.
Right. And they have things called RIT scores, and there's a variety of it's a whole different way of looking at things. So our use of the NWEA data this year is for us to be able to study our math, which is why we're only implementing it in our 6th grade and 7th grade math, is for us to learn how to use the data, partner with illustrative math, look at it internally, but teachers have access to it throughout. So we've been doing, and Courtney Walls, who is here talking from Smith, she's a Smith teacher leader, or web leader. She's also one of our 6th grade math teachers at Smith. They had a day today where they were together planning and talking about the new curriculum, but she's already piloted using that NWEA assessment in her classroom, and she's dabbling with understanding how she can use that data to be able to inform her instruction in the classroom. So that's data that they'll be able to get 3 times a year throughout for students.
And Illustrative Math is doing the same, providing support on that as well in terms of how to interpret?
Yes.
And I have one, just a follow-up question. So my understanding from what you said earlier, if you could confirm this, part of us choosing illustrative math, a part of that was a requirement that we would then have some type of student assessment, nationally recognized.
Nationally, right. Right, so part of, so they offered us, once we selected them as our curriculum moving forward, they offered us an opportunity they asked if we'd be interested in doing a case study with them, where they would look at our student achievement over time and study how their program is working in our organization, given that we have a totally different demographic than any other district they've ever interfaced with. And so they asked us if we'd be interested, and then they said, we'll give you everything that we find and everything that we look at, but in order for us to engage in this, we need to have you use some norm-referenced standardized assessment. So the norm-referenced assessment that we're using is NWA. So we looked at, they gave us a list, and NWA was the one that we selected.
Okay, go ahead. I know you still had.
And then the other thing, the AP slide that has the different things, one thing that I think is interesting, I don't know if that's the right word, but the college optimization column, platinum is only 15%, which actually I think is nice considering we know that we have different kinds of students. And so this is not something that I thought of prior to tonight. It's not something I expect anybody to have. But as we look at, like, as we celebrate the platinumness of that, I would also love to see, as we think about like TCC data in the future, like what is the percentage of students that we have doing dual enrollment? What is the percentage of students that we have who are getting CTE certification? Just so that we can say, like, we have, 30% of our students who are doing college optimization, but we also have 30% of our students who are choosing these other equally important pathways. And so, I mean, I think this is important to celebrate. And just in the future, I think it might be nice to be able to celebrate some of the other pathways that students choose that are equally valuable to their future.
New honor rolls. Yeah. I did want to ask a question on this slide as long as it's up. Well, not a question, but I'd like you to explain to the community what's the magic in 5 AP classes? Why is that kind of a cut point for the College Board?
Right, so the College Board actually
talk about that loudly.
The College Board came and presented to our secondary teachers. And I think it would be a beneficial presentation for our secondary students and families. They talked about the impact of taking just one AP class, the impact that it would have on your success in college. And they studied students. Okay, you took one AP, how did you do when you were in college? What was your college preparedness like? And what they told us that they noticed, what their findings were, is that after 5, so once you hit 6, after 5, there was no more impact. There was no greater impact on your performance in college from taking those APs. Now, I would say the caveat to that is you do earn more college credits.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your performance might not change, but you might come in carrying more college credits if you took more classes.
I just think the argument that AP courses help prepare you for college, it's important for parents to understand and students to understand that after 5, you've done it. You're now prepared. Go to college and don't worry.
You don't need to flood your schedule.
Don't need to flood your schedule and lose your mind. Right. Okay, good. Any other questions? All right, I think we battered you enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Both. We appreciate it.
Okay, that means Mr. West is up. Good evening, Mr. West.
Good evening.
I hear we're buying some things.
Mr. Schmidt, Dr. Macheski, members of the board. I do want to preface the 6 recommendations we have for you because this is the first bit of bond work from the 2022 approval that we're going to go through. So I want to just spend a minute or so, it'll be longer than that, so don't time me, just kind of explaining the process by which we get here with our recommendations. We went through this last week, we talked to the board, but I think for community knowledge, it's important to understand the process as it relates to our bond projects. Because in the next 6 resolutions, we are going to be asking you to spend about $4.6 million in some exciting projects on top of the 190 million you already authorized through the budget amendment tonight. So we are spending money tonight to run the school district and to improve and enhance the school district, and it's important that we understand the process by which we get here. Our bond projects, we have a myriad of different bond projects going on. Some are much more collaborative than others. For instance, when we're designing Smith Middle School or playgrounds or furniture, we bring multiple teams together. We bring our design experts in. We evaluate, we test, we touch, and we make sure that we're comfortable from the conceptual design process through schematic design, through design development, and then ultimately construction documents. The construction document piece is what you guys ultimately approve. We send construction documents out to bid, and then you guys award the bid based on our professional opinions in your review. Some projects are less collaborative because we have a professional or a consultant. Take roofing and paving, for example, tonight. We have an asset management plan for both of those that we have an expert look at the condition around the district. We prioritize and we just kind of a check box. We go to the next project year after year and we work through it that way. Technology is another area. We're going to look at iPads. That's another refresh. That's an initiative that the district has been involved in. So much of this is collaborative. Much of this is long process. We've been engaged in design for Smith, for instance, since the bond passed. And some of these other areas have been under evaluation for a while. So I think it's important that everybody understand that we don't just come here magically appear with the recommendation, that there's months and months of hard work that go into it with professional expertise, with professional judgment, and with strong evaluation. So with that, we have six recommendations for you tonight. The first one is the iPad refresh. We are able to capitalize on some federal funding through some federal funding that's available. So we're asking for iPads to be approved through the REMC bid process.
Okay, thank you. We're being asked to purchase replacement iPads. May I have a resolution, please? Mr. Hopt.
Be it therefore resolved that the district purchase iPads and cases from Apple Computers in the amount of $699,110, and that these amounts be approved as an expenditure of the 2023 Capital Projects Fund.
Support.
You have a resolution by Mr. Hopt, supported by Ms. Alish. Are there any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. 8B, please.
8B, Smith Electrical Gear pre-purchase. An RFP was issued to obtain competitive bids for the pre-purchase of electrical equipment as part of the new Smith Middle School construction project. Bid responses were reviewed by Rob Carson, Director of Operations, and Barton Mallow Builders, and it is recommended the bid be awarded as stated below.
Thank you. We're being asked to purchase electrical gear for the new Smith Middle School. May I have a resolution, please? Dr. Wilson.
Be it therefore resolved that the bid for the pre-purchase of electrical equipment for Smith Middle School be awarded to Great Lakes Power and Lighting in the amount not to exceed $279,900, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the 2023 Capital Projects Fund.
Support.
Resolution by Dr. Wilson, supported by Mr. Hoff. Any questions or comments on this?
I think it's probably important to note.
I was going to say, why are we buying electrical equipment so early for the building? Would you like to tell the public that?
Yeah, so when the collaborative process has been going on, the construction manager come to us and said, there's long lead times on electrical equipment, so it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we can follow the project timeline, that we pre-purchase that. They put a small package together, send it out, and we are recommending that we purchase that to get it in the queue, to have it hopefully ready by 26. It's important to understand, we're attempting to open this building in 26. This pre-purchase doesn't even ensure that we'll have that equipment. We are also working on alternative plans to make sure that we have the energy necessary to run the building temporarily if this isn't available.
And my assumption, this is probably the first of many items we'll be kind of purchasing out of sequence or out of normal sequence?
I think so, yeah. When we get into Athens, when we get into major renovations of other buildings, I think this could be standard, given some of the challenges that are existing in the
supply chain. Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions?
Is it just the remnants of COVID supply chain disruption, or is this going to be the reality in general?
This is the reality as it relates to, my understanding as it relates to the transformers, generators, and switches. That's the reality of the industry right now. We're talking 24 to 36-month lead times is what we've been told. So it depends on the trade, if you will, or the equipment, but certainly with electrical gear, that's what our experts are telling us.
Okay, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed say no. Thank you, resolution passes. Move to 8C, please.
Roof replacement, a RFP was issued to obtain competitive bids for roof replacement work at Bemis, Morse, and Waddles Elementary Schools, and some roof replacement also right here at Services and the Transportation Building. Bid responses were reviewed by WeatherTech Consulting Group, and it's recommended the bid be awarded as stated below.
Okay, thank you. We're being asked to continue our roof replacement project on our regular schedule. May I have a resolution, please? Ms. Ane?
Be it therefore resolved that the bid for roof replacement be awarded as follows, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the 2023 Capital Projects Fund. J.D. Candler, Services Building for $59,900. Royal West Roofing, Bemis and Transportation Buildings for $289,000. Quality Roofing for Morse and Waddles for $818,420, and a contingency of 5% at $58,366 for a total of $1,225,686.
Thank you. A resolution by Ms. Ane, supported by Dr. Wilson. Any questions or comments on this? Ms. Alish?
So the question is for this, but it really applies to C, D, and E. So some of these projects that we're doing as it relates to bond work that we're going to be doing at some of these buildings. So these are things that either need to be done because they need to be done, or we don't expect them to be impacted by the bond work.
The other bond work, yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Roofing, as I mentioned, roofing and paving, we follow an asset management plan that was developed through our consultants and experts through evaluation of the entire district and the landscape in those specific areas. So we go ahead and prioritize those. Any projects that we're bringing, let's say we bring in Athens. Athens is, I think, in the paving piece. We will incorporate that. It either needs done, it's in a state that it just needs done now, so we can't wait or defer the improvement, or we will incorporate it into a future project, okay? So roofing, for instance, that's the case. I don't think it's the case with any of these, but we would be incorporating it in, so it's not throwing money in right now that we're going to be replacing or redoing in most cases. So we're very conscientious of that in the design process and in the recommendations. So that's kind of the process we use. There's an evaluation of where we are, how old the asset is, and how much longer we anticipate it, and what future work is expected in those specific buildings.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, say no. Thank you, resolution passes. We move to 8D, please.
Site work paving program. An RFP was issued to obtain competitive bids for site construction work at Waddles Elementary, IAE Baker, Athens High Services, Troy Learning Center, and the Transportation Building. Bid responses were reviewed by TSD Operations Department, PEA Group, and legal planners. It's recommended the bid be awarded as stated below.
Okay, thank you. We're being asked to consider site work paving based on our ongoing schedule. I have a resolution, please. Mr. Hoff.
Be it therefore resolved that the bid for the site work paving program be awarded to Nagel Paving Company in the amount of $1,758,370, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the 2023 Capital Projects Fund.
Support.
Thank you. A resolution by Mr. Hoff, supported by Ms. Alish. Are there any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. 8E, please.
8E, consideration for retention pond projects. The RFP was issued to obtain competitive bids for retention pond site work at Leonard, Baker, and Athens. Bid responses were reviewed by Rob Carson, Director of Operations, PEA Group, legal planners. It's recommended the bid be awarded as stated below.
Thank you. We're being asked to restore several of our retention ponds. May I have a resolution, please? Ms. Alish.
Be it therefore resolved that the bid for site work projects be awarded to Eagle Excavation in the amount of $381,776.00, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the building site and sinking fund.
Support. A resolution by Ms. Alish, supported by Mr. Hopt. Any questions or comments on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Resolution passes. And finally, 8F, please.
8F, we are recommending some food service equipment replacements. This would fall in one of those Ms. Leach just mentioned. We're wanting to replace food service equipment at Bullen Park and Larson Middle Schools. We know that there's going to be major renovations at those two buildings. We will incorporate these new freezer or new equipment, walk-in coolers and freezers in the new design, or they will be movable when we do that. So that's what we're recommending.
Okay, great. We're being asked to purchase some new cooling equipment for the food service in Bolin and Larson Middle School. And I believe these are replacing the original cooling units from when the buildings were built. Is that right?
Yes.
So we're hoping we get 50 years out of these coolers as we got in the first. So may I have a resolution, please? Dr. Wilson.
Be it therefore resolved that the removal and replacement of the existing walk-in cooler and freezer at both Bolin Park and Larson Middle School be awarded to Stafford Smith in the amount of $227,606.32, and that this amount be approved as an expenditure of the food service fund.
Support.
Thank you. A resolution by Dr. Wilson, supported by Mr. Hoff. Are there any questions or comments on this? Yes. Ms. Alish.
The food service fund, this is one of those that we have to spend down, correct?
That's correct. We have a mandatory spend down. We are not allowed to carry more than 3 months worth of operations. The new funding mechanism with universal free meals has created a situation where we have quite a bit of revenue, excess revenue. So we will be in a position, I believe, for the next couple of years. It was last year, it's going to be this year, and I believe carrying through the next couple of years that we will have a mandatory spend down plan. The good news is that's going to allow us to reinvest in the program. Okay, so whether it be food quality, food equipment, efficiencies, people, we can spend that money, and we are working collaboratively with Chartwells as well as our food service department to make sure that we develop our plan and submit to the state.
So that's, we can use those funds anywhere in the food service area, correct? So
That's correct. Lou, I mean, there's bureaucracy and red tape with every project. Some of them.
But furniture, you know.
Cafeteria is different than kitchen, so.
Okay.
We have to make sure.
So it's the kitchen area only?
Well, we bought cafeteria
I thought we bought
tables.
cafeteria tables with these funds, but.
We do so long, there's.
Okay,
there's
never mind.
rules- There's rules of engagement, we try to.
It's not
keep them
easy.
as loose as possible.
Okay.
To make sure that we can, we can use. the
Use it where we
funds
need
To enhance the experience for the students.
Okay, I don't want to know the secret sauce. So, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes, opposed, say no. Thank you, resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. West. There's going to be a lot of purchasing going on. Okay, now that moves us to public communication and non-agenda items. I have one, Mrs. Sarah Kruger. Good evening.
I'm Sarah Krieger. I have 3 children in the school district. I was very happy living in my cave for the last year and trying to mind my business. However, I highly recommend when you are invited as a board member to speak publicly into a classroom, a high school one be it, that you be very careful with the words and terms and phrases that you use, especially with the certain children that are in your class. Mr. Schmidt walked into my children's criminal law class. He was invited to speak about, funny story, abdication, essentially. And let me tell you some of these things that my children came home to tell me that he spoke about. Parents were wrong about anything that went against his opinion. Honors classes shouldn't be a thing because moving forward is better than others being in smarter classes just because they are smarter. Just because you pay taxes doesn't mean I'm entitled to answer or listen to you. Some of these parents are so racist, it makes me want to explode. Wrong, wrong, wrong. To every parent in which he showed videos of parents speaking against the board, not only did he show parents, but he also showed a minor child and told the children that parents are weaponizing their children to come before the board to speak. He showed a minor child, a Smith Middle School child, to peers of other people in this district. Whispering under their masks during COVID to each other to let each other know how people are wrong or when things are funny when they disagree with parents. I could not believe, this was outside of the original comment that I got from my son, the text, asking me why somebody would call Moms for Liberty a bunch of white racist moms. Absolutely egregious language, egregious topics. I don't care if somebody disagrees with me politically. At no point in time should those kinds of comments be made towards children, at children, in classrooms, period, ever. At no time, as a board member. Now, I will say that I did reach out to Mr. Schmidt. I also reached out to the teacher requesting the videos. I did not receive those videos. I also did not receive more clarification from the teacher about what was exactly said. He talked about these topics. Great, can you please elaborate? Because the information that I'm receiving from my children says something else. Check your rosters before you walk into classrooms and start saying things like this. Or just don't bring the politics into the class. Keep it out. It's absolutely egregious. I should not even have to be here. I was very happy at my home, minding my business the last year. Besides asking for your official resignation, I don't understand. As a board, he is representing every single person that sits up here. Absolutely disgusting.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to other. Tegan, are you with me over there? I can't see you.
Nope.
You want to kick us off here?
Sure.
What's going on over at TCC?
Alrighty. I want to say happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I don't think I got to see anyone before we went on break. Actually, I did get to see some of you at the Thanksgiving party at TCC. And I do want to say thank you to all the teachers who did come in for the careers class that we had. I don't think I got to formally thank all of you for taking part in the final interviews for the end of the class. All the students loved it, and they're all taking what they learned to the next step with applying to colleges and applying for jobs and stuff like that. So thank you guys all for that. On another note, Career Quest was a field trip that I think we had 99% of our students go. There's only a handful that didn't for personal reasons. Our first batch of t-shirts, as some of you know and some of you got today, are finally done and are business math class is now working on the next step of making hoodies and senior hoodies, polling students and getting their ideas for what to do next. And me and Miss M sat down and talked about the culture of the school when we handed out all these t-shirts. When we finally finished them, just watching everyone, they were throwing them on, they were cutting them up and making them custom to them. And it was great to see everyone throwing these t-shirts on that their fellow students helped create. And me and Miss M wanted to share about how healing that was to the school culture just for that day.
They were great t-shirts. There's a great design.
I agree. OCC stopped by right before break and gave a presentation to all the students, and all willing seniors then went on to apply and got admitted to OCC. I think we had around 12 seniors apply and get admitted that day. And then I want to formally invite all of the members of the board to the Winter Festival that we are holding next week. It is going to be a music festival on the 21st. It will start around 12:30, and it will go to the end of the day around 2 o'clock. I also want to share our annual Thanksgiving Festival that some of you did attend. It was a great hit. We do it every year. Teachers bring in food for students to eat, and we get to kind of all hang out as a family that we are at TCC. The wood shop has finally finished moving our library because we did a big move over the summer. And we finally found a home for all of our books. They hung up all of our shelves in a little nook. I think they're calling it the book nook.
Where is it?
It's right when you come in the door, just to the left. They have a nice fireplace. They have stockings with all the teachers' names on it.
Much better to read by a fireplace, so yeah.
I think it looks great. It's very cozy over there. Plans for senior prom are in place. That will be held at the Polish Cultural Center on May 16th. That is being student-led, by the way. All the planning is Miss M's kind of taking a back seat and letting some students work with their parents and letting them figure out all the themes and all that. And we started a poll on what the themes should be, what some colors should be. And then finally, underclassmen visited OSTC to see what their options are next year and what they can pursue as a senior or lower than that. And thank you.
Okay, great. Any questions for Tegan? All right, let's move on with Narita. How are things at IA East?
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all having a tremendous Tuesday. It has been a busy but fun month at IA East. Last week was the annual House Food Drive, where our student government collected food for the brand new One Troy Food Pantry. Each food item was worth a certain number of points, and our social houses competed to see who would bring in the most food points. The food drive was successful, and as a school, we raised over 7,600 food points to support families experiencing food insecurity here in Troy. Thank you. Over the past 2 weeks, there have also been big sporting events. House Optimus hosted a volleyball tournament, and as I'm sure you would have predicted, the junior team won. While Econ Club hosted a dodgeball tournament to fundraise for an upcoming competition. Additionally, this week is the Culture Show Preview Week, where performers are not only showcasing their talents, but also watching other incredible performances. It is an amazing opportunity to celebrate the progress of our dancers and musicians while exchanging valuable feedback. Earlier this month, one of our product teams began peer mediation sessions as well. They are looking forward to resolving conflicts, mentoring underclassmen, and ultimately helping the school community. Now, it is time for the elephant in the room, or at least at IA. Midterms are coming up next week, but the good news is that several clubs like National Honor Society are hosting study sessions where upperclassmen will be tutoring others as needed. However, in case these study sessions get overwhelming, don't worry, because clubs like Book Club and Spanish Honor Society are having movie parties, where students can take a step back from all the work and relax. And that is all I have with IA News. Thank you.
Well, I want to know, did your house win the contest for the food drive?
They did.
Of course they did, okay. Congratulations.
I was wondering if you could tell families how they might access the One Troy Food Drive. If you're collecting all of this food for the food pantry, if families need that food, especially coming into the long break, how might they access that?
Of course. So for the food drive that we had, that was mainly for our IA social houses. But one thing that I'm working with the food pantry for right now is it is a job site for students over at the Troy Center. And one thing that they're trying to put together is a video or some sort of flyer along with a JotForm donation link that can be added to every school newsletter, so that families, as they're reading through their newsletter at the bottom of it, they can see that and maybe donate a few dollars here or there to provide monetary funds. If families are interested in dropping off canned goods or other food donations, we are planning on setting up a box right in front of the Troy Center to especially support these families during the holiday season. Because for a lot of our student families, a lot of their students are getting their food from the free breakfast and lunch programs. And so over the holidays, we want to provide them with that additional support.
So if a family needs food, what
How do they do? Yeah.
Oh, if a family needs food, they can reach out to the One Troy Food Pantry itself through the Troy Center website. We're official now. We have our own phone and our own location set up there, so they can definitely reach out to the Troy Center itself or the school counselor and the school administration.
Okay, so through their own school administrator.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wonder if we can get something on the homepage of the website before break, just to say if you need food over break.
Or even in the weekly newsletter.
The weekly
I mentioned
newsletter,
that
yeah,
last
but
week,
to say that, just so it's easy to find, so.
And we did have, Carl and I both sit on the board of Troy Youth Assistance, and one of the elementary school principals reached out to us for a family, and I...
Asking us to help.
Yeah, and because
TYA.
the Bolin Web students actually did the food drive for the one Food Troy Pantry as well. I was able to provide that information, and I asked for feedback to see, because I just had email addresses, and the feedback I received was that the food pantry was really responsive. They offered to either deliver the food to the families or to the school, and so there was no delay in getting communication back, so I just...
And one thing I do just want to add about the web program over at Bolin, I tried to coordinate that between the web students and the pantry, and I got a lot of positive feedback from the web students about that experience, because they were able to totally kind of design the food drive the way they wanted to, so that they can see what food items are needed, and it was a cool leadership experience for them.
One of those students is in the audience today.
Yes.
So.
Okay, we'll come over here. How about, why don't we start with Jayla?
Okay, perfect.
And Troy High.
Good evening tonight. I just want to cover what's been going on from November, because we missed our meeting during November, and then December. So our wrestling team took second place at the Birch Run Invitational this past weekend, accompanied by new head coach Mike Lambie, who is a former Navy submarine officer. The Unified Basketball program is back for another year with their first game coming in early January. Baseball. They hired a new head coach, Joe DeRazio, which the athletes are so super excited about. And he's also a PE teacher at our school. And then I want to congratulate Tom Vigilant on his retirement from coaching volleyball at Troy High for the past 18 seasons. And as well as Gary Freilich, he's the head coach for the boys program. He is entering his 30th year as being head coach. Tonight the boys faced off at home against Southfield A&T, so I'm looking forward to hearing the results of that, because we were favored. As far as student government, our annual senior sidekick was a success. We raised over $3,000 that will be put towards our activist week in February, and we've also decided that we'll be supporting a local organization called On My Own. Their mission is to provide independent living for young adults with cognitive impairments. We also brought the Little Donut Factory food truck back to the students, a little surprise during senior sidekick, which they were super duper excited about. And upcoming in the Stugo world, we're having a holiday Spirit Week next week, which Spirit Weeks are always so exciting. And this year we've had so much participation, so that'll be good going into the break.
Good.
And then after that, we're just planning for Activist Week. And then during November, Personal Com hosted our annual dodgeball fundraiser, and it's always a good time. We raised a whole bunch of money. I'm not sure of the total though, but I think we beat last year's if I'm not mistaken. And this year's profit will be going to the Pontiac Athletic League, who offers sports for the youth of Pontiac ranging from age 5 to 17. And then we hosted our fall production of Little Women, which was also a success. And we held auditions, and we have our cast for our spring musical, Footloose, which will be super duper exciting, and it's a fan favorite. And that's all I have from our side.
Great. Okay. Any questions? No. Okay. All right, Marlene, take us out.
Okay, so as with all the other schools, we have very exciting initiatives with our clubs. The holidays are always a great time to give back to our community. So Key Club partnered with Judson Center. They're an organization that helps families who reach out to them about unstable housing or just parenting, parents who might need like more support for their kids. So we partnered with a single mom and daughter, and we sponsored the family as a Key Club. We were able to purchase for them. They recently acquired housing, so we were able to purchase like kitchen supplies for their new home and winter necessities such as coats and boots. And then Project Lead also does, this is the second year, they go to Build-A-Bear at Somerset, and Project Lead members like sponsor a bear, and then they go to the Children's Hospital in Troy and deliver them. So that's a very fun project. And then Stuco actually just finished their OAA meet, and they actually have, they're going to the regional meet in January, so we wish them luck. In terms of our performing arts, the band is actually performing as we speak right now, and the orchestra has their winter concert on Thursday. The orchestra also performs at Greenfield Village every year, so they have students who audition beforehand, and then they go play like at one of like the light shows at night, which is really cool. And then Muse is one of our creative arts club at Athens. They put on a show, more like somewhat of a talent show for students. So that's being hosted this Friday. So musicians, poets, really anyone can come share their talent with the community. And we also Muse, some of the profits go to a local organization, and then the rest go to help for the production of the magazine at the end of the year. In terms of our sports, the winter sports are starting off really strong. So powerlifting, those of you who may not know, at Athens, grew from a club of about 30 students to now like one of our largest sports with almost 200 members. And last year we took second at nationals, so they're hoping to place highly again this year, and their first meet is this Saturday at Grass Lake. And then also want to highlight our basketball teams. Boys basketball is first in the league right now, and we wish them luck with the rest of their season. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good. Any questions? No? I think we're good. Oh.
Do you want to announce the Charity Week charity?
Yes, sorry, that was on my notes. I completely forgot.
I thought maybe it was still a secret, so I didn't want to ask.
I was gonna say, I saw it on social media, so.
It was children for, it was like one child, I believe. Sorry, I had the name written down. Do you mind if I?
No, look it up.
I have it here.
Is it For the Love of a Child?
Yes, it's called For the Love of a Child. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't say that yet. So they have just started. It's technically not like a secret anymore, but they have the presentation for students right before winter break. So that's how we celebrate our last day. We like announce the charity to the school, so that's very exciting. And then also forgot to mention MLK Day, which is run by the Superintendent Student Advisory Board. We are planning for the day of service on January 15th, and we're asking the community if they would like to help donate. We have boxes for fleece collection at all of our schools. And then also on the day of the event, we are having a winter coat and winter hats and mittens drive, which will be going to a shelter in Utica called Grace Centers of Hope.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, it's getting late. If you four want to go, you can go. Well, you don't have to wait for us to do our chit chat here, because I know it's already 9:30. Or you're certainly welcome to stay, but I don't want you to feel like you have to sit here while we go through our final others. Mr. Haupt?
I was going to mention MLK, so thank you for mentioning that. If you're out in the busy holiday season, purchase some fleece. It'll be pretty easy and quick. Also wanted to note, and again, this is in January, is Teacher of the Year nominations. I know one teacher that actually won a couple years ago, and she was just super excited, and I think it's a really great opportunity to show respect to the teachers, in our district. So that's about it.
Great. Ms. Sane?
I have a couple of things. A couple of weeks back, just before Thanksgiving, I got a chance to meet with Chris Griffor and the ELA teaching and learning team, Kristen Petrovsky and Lisa McDonald, I think, if I remember them right. They patiently explained to me over an hour and a half, helped me understand how the reading and writing is taught in our district, especially at the elementary level. Based on their discussion, I kind of learned that our teachers have a lot of tools at their disposal, and the content in the units that are taught at each grade, even though they're defined by the state, but the tools that are used are based on the unit that they're taught, and they use a lot of tools like phonics, connecting words with pictures, all kinds of, what is the other one called, Fontes and Pinel, and many other tools, I believe, and also students get a lot of choices to the topics of interest and books that they like. In the end, I walked out with an understanding that our teachers tend to employ the methods based on the needs and the requirements of the units and the students' needs. So I feel like each specific method of teaching comes with its own advantages and drawbacks, but I feel like our teachers are choosing what's best for the situation and that they're willing to learn and adapt over time. And I felt good about it. That was one. Finally, this is our last meeting of the year, and I would like to wish everyone happy holidays. This is the time for teachers, staff, administrators, and students to take a break, spend quality time with the family, relax, and return back the new year rejuvenated. Now, as I was driving here, I heard a story on the radio. I believe it's Rabbi Alana Alpert is from Detroit. She was talking about Hanukkah celebration, and she mentioned that the representative Rashida Tlaib came to her Hanukkah celebration. Now, the whole world, the media, and everyone talks about the war between Israel and Palestinians, and I don't want to reduce it, but I think there's a lot of good still in the world, and we can all work together. And more than we can think, and I wish everyone happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, and a happy New Year for everybody.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Alish?
I don't have a whole lot for tonight. I just wanted to wish everybody, a happy holiday, and I hope everybody gets to spend some time with their family. I'm looking forward to that break. I know a lot of families look forward to that. So, I do want to wish everybody who celebrates a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and a Happy New Year. And then I think Mr. Hoff might point out some things in the Troy School District insert, but I do want to say that an insert, the Troy School District insert was in the Troy Times last week, so that's a really good place for the community to take a look and to see some of the great work taking place in terms of the bond, also some of the exciting things happening with our students, such as the Athens High School state championship win, and then also some other things as well. So.
Great. All right, thank you. Mr. Hoff?
Back on November 30th, I had the honor and the privilege and the delight to attend the Baker Orchestra Fall Concert. The 6th, 7th, and 8th graders each performed. They are very proficient in learning, but very proficient in violin, viola, cello, bass. The program was directed by Miss Laura Zaitis. It was a wonderful one-hour program of very complicated pieces that the 6th and 7th graders were learning, and they played so proficiently that it was a standing ovation for the students. About 100 to 150 perhaps students were in the gym. The stands were full, and you could hear a pin drop when they were playing, or before they played. It was absolutely a beautiful rendition of both holiday songs and pieces from known people that were classical music. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It shows that the fine arts program, at least at Baker and it's shown through the Troy district, school district, that our fine arts program is thriving and wonderful. So it was a wonderful concert.
Great. Okay. Dr. Wilson.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Matt and Amina for finishing this first year with us. I know it's a lot to jump into, and just thank you both for making it through year
You're still
one.
here.
and really jumping in with us. It was several of us last month got to go to the Michigan Association of School Board conference, and just getting to spend time with both of you in some of those sessions and some of those conversations, I think is really, really valuable to be able to learn together as a board. Also, we highlight a lot of our academic achievement in this district, but as Mr. Huff pointed out, we also have a lot of fine arts achievement. Some of our Athens students went to the Michigan Thespian Festival this past weekend. 2 students competed and brought home offers of almost $500,000 in scholarships from a variety of schools. So congratulations to Cassandra Wilson and Jarrell Willis for competing well and showing that we do have a strong fine arts program here.
I think I know that first person.
Yeah, well,
I think you know her too.
I do, but I mean, it's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Congratulations to her. Okay, Dr. Macheski.
Yeah, a number of references have been made to the fine arts this time of the year. Goes without saying that our fine arts programs at the elementary all the way through the high schools are exceptional. If you have not had a chance to get out and see our high school fine arts, whether they be band, jazz band, orchestra, choirs, they are fabulous. They are on par with any college level orchestra band. So this is a great time of the season to get out and hear them. As was mentioned by Marlene and then reiterated by Mr. Hawk, MLK Day of Service is January 15th. We are still taking fleece donations. There's boxes at each building, so if you have the ability to drop fleece off, we'd appreciate that. There's going to be a number of activities that take place that day. The Superintendent Student Advisory Board has taken lead on that now for the third straight year, and they are doing fabulous work. 3 of those individuals sit up here at this table with us. We're looking forward to a spectacular day. So those that are available on the 15th at Athens High School, 8 o'clock. We'll see you all there. And the first, before we get back together, the first crosstown rivalry game will have taken place between Troy High and Athens boys basketball. They'll actually square off twice this year, as well as the girls will square off twice this year. That first game will take place at Athens on the 12th of January, so that'll take place before our next meeting. So best wishes to all of, or both of those teams. And the last thing I just want to mention is when you drove in today, you saw that big semi-truck. I couldn't have missed it in the parking lot. That is not an acquisition of the district. That is STEM-I. That is a program that is run through Oakland schools that travels around to all school districts in Oakland County through their career technical education program, and students have a chance to visit. This year, our 5th grade students, so it's out of school field trip. About a 45-minute session. So those students come over, they have a chance to go through that semi. It's all very high-tech. They have access to high-tech, high technology opportunities to interact. I'm sure I'm not saying that really well. We've had several board members last year that had a chance to see that, but it's really spectacular. I had a chance to see that as well, to tour that last year, and it's a favorite of our students. Again, they get to go in there and they get to put their hands on all kinds of great technology. So we thank Mike Monaco, assistant principal at Athens High School, for helping us get that organized this year. And if you have 5th graders, ask them about their experience with the STEM-I. They should be here this week. So those field trips are taking place all this week. So make sure you check with your 5th graders. Otherwise, happy holidays to the entire Troy School District community.
Great, and I'll vouch for the STEM-I truck. It's absolutely amazing stuff going on in that. And the kids last year were completely engaged, having a great time. I don't have much. One important thing, some of us have been working on the preservation of Section 1 in the city for 9 years, 10 years.
10.
My hair was a different color when we started, so, but that is coming to a head tomorrow. The Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund will be announcing their awards. So tomorrow we find out whether we get the grant from them, and if we do, then Oakland County Parks will assume control and preservation of that land in perpetuity. So, and the district will receive compensation for the land. So it's a really, really, if this works, you know, this is a really exciting thing for the community and the district. And it's interesting because Brianna, who was presenting to us, she also produced a video for Section 1 that was shown to the Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund Committee, and I was in the room watching all the adults who were half asleep with the other presentations, and then that came on and the presentation came through, and I'll say that our counterparts at Oakland County Parks knocked it out of the park, but the video was fantastic and really demonstrated the value of that land and how important it was to preserve. So I am very hopeful. If your fireworks go off at some point tomorrow, I will send a text to everybody as soon as I hear back from Six Rivers if we have good news. So other than that, happy holidays to the whole community. And beyond that, we have our next workshop is the 9th of January in the administration building at 6 p.m. And then our next board meeting is back here on January 16th. That includes also our organizational meeting where we'll assign new officers for the year and run through a lot of different decisions we have to make about treasurers and all kinds of things. So for our students, I'll say bring a seatbelt because we're going to go through about 100 things in about 12 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. But it's kind of fun to see how quickly we can get through all of that as we go through. So everyone have a nice break, especially for my 4 overachieving students up here. Give yourself a break in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see you back here in January. Thanks.